Inside the elven forest, two hot chicks were getting attacked by a group of ugly, disgusting bastards. But as the maid's face was shoved into the ground, a knight flashed from behind, slashing the men down with a single strike. This overpowered dickhead was Ark, who woke up under a tree after being reincarnated into this world. With the broken twilight cloak and the wyvern sword, even possessing the skills from all the classes in the game instead of one. But although he was able to cast the wyvern slash spell to destroy all the trees before his eyes, and even unleash Hell's Inferno to burn the forest down, the fat ass realized using those powers made him hungry. So before he would starve, he unleashed his gate ability to teleport to the town, but almost isekai'd himself by hugging the ground. However, he managed to use his dimensional movability spell to flash across the world, but using all this mana drained his water points. So as he tried drinking water from a river, he realized that he was an ugly, disgusting skeleton, and knew that all of the townspeople would kill him as soon as they found out. Even so, he decided to disguise himself and snuck around through the alleys until he found the hottest elf girl of his dreams. But she ignored his ugly ass and walked away. All around the town, he began searching for her until he arrived at the mercenary guild, asking the guild master where she might have disappeared off to. However, the guild master rejects his desperate requests and informs him that he must kill various monsters before getting any money or information. The guild master feels bad that such a mighty knight has to do these quests, and believes that he's doing all of this to find the mother of his sick child. Little did they know that the only thing noble about this knight is how he will royally fuck the elf with his Excalibur. After killing all the boars and completing his quests, he found a group of bandits had ambushed the soldiers, and the men began ripping off the clothes from the girls. But as the princess screamed for her maid with massive cannons, Ark realized that he was the only skeleton in this world, and would not allow another person to get a bone. So as the princess was about to be given a bone, Ark teleported behind the man and slashed 3 of them in half. As the others realized what just happened, they started running away, but Ark unleashed his ultimate ability, Wyvern Slash, burning the bandits out of existence. The 2 chicks thanked him for saving them, but as he began escorting them to find the medicinal herbs they were looking for, he saw a 9-tailed fox that was injured. When he got closer, however, it tried biting him, but he began healing it using his monk magic, allowing it to finally walk without feeling pain. So when the cute fox began following him around, he decided to name it Ponta. As they continued their journey, they finally found the white wisteria tree, but when Marker ran closer to it, a massive basilisk appeared from the darkness. But before it would crush her down, Ark teleported her away, and narrowly blocked the poison fog that the lizard was able to shoot. While trying to think of how to defeat his enemy, the monster began unleashing its claw attack that he barely managed to block, until it nearly crushed him down. But before its long tongue would eat him out, he teleported out of its path. However, Ark was beginning to grow tired from blocking all of its attacks, but he could never grow tired of playing the sponsor of today's video, AFK Arena, the greatest idle RPG game to ever be made. His entire isekai life, he wished he could be like the god of isekais, Rimuru Tempest, so when he saw him and Shuna's hot face being in the game, he completely forgot about the elf's existence, because during this collaboration event, they will be added as dimensional heroes for everyone to try for free, with Rimuru unleashing devastating spells as an intellectual mage, while Shuna will use her strategic support to aid his battles with her intellect-based skills. And just like Rimuru recruited an entire village of different races to become the strongest nation in the forest, you too can create the greatest army from the many different heroes in the game. So if you want to join this world and become overpowered like Ark, the 180 summon activity will allow you to craft some of the strongest teams, even guaranteeing you an SP hero. Every day you log into your game, your teams will be stronger and stronger, and you can take them to defeat the scariest dungeons and the King's Tower. So what are you waiting for? Download AFK Arena through the link in my description to join Rimuru's travels to the Asperia continent. And you might also find an elf that'll actually want you without being an ugly, disgusting bone knight. In that moment, the basilisk prepared to unleash its ultimate ability, and when it casted its petrification spell, Ark was able to use his divine shield that neutralized all status effects to nullify the attack. Even so, the basilisk continued attacking him and used its poisonous fog to end his miserable life. But Ark managed to find the opening to unleash his S-rank ability, and defeated it with a single blow. Even Ark was shocked by how powerful his attack was, but noticed something was off about the monster, and as he approached the ring on the lizard, it disintegrated before his eyes. Just then, a massive boar appeared, so Ark decided to kill it to gift it to the rest of the villagers. At the village, Marka's mommy milkers, Siona, saw her daughter and was glad that she was still alive, crying as she wondered why she left the village without telling her. However, Marka revealed the flowers she gathered to cure her illness. So as she smiled and hugged her daughter, she asked Ark to come over so she can lick the meat off his bone. After Siona swallowed the best dinner in her life, Marka and her sister call him their new dad and give him a gift before he goes to get milk like their other dad.
Oh shit, here we go again.
A few weeks pass, and Ark is still searching for the elf that took his breath away. He enters a cave where he heard bandits had kidnapped elves, and finds a pile of gold piled up for him, but doesn't find the elves that were captured. Ark leaves with his newfound treasure, going to head to town for the meal, but the elf finally appears and is ready to destroy him. She slashes towards him, ready to murder him in his spot, but he narrowly dodges her attacks. Her cloak reveals her face, and he realizes that he's finally seen the love of his life again. Ark attempts to talk this out with her, but she calls him a bandit. As she prepares her final launch to end him, Ponta comes out, which stops her in her tracks. Mrs. Giant Plot asks him how he managed to befriend the Nine Tails, and Ark tells her that he healed Ponta when it was injured. This causes the elf girl to apologize for thinking he was a bandit, and tells him that she came here to rescue the elves that were being hunted. But the elves are already gone, and Ark tells her that he destroyed all the bandits. She prepares to leave, but Ark tries to think of a way to develop this plot into a plot twist where he's twisting her plot.
Stop it. Get some help.
Sorry, I meant Ark tries to think of a way to work with her, but she denies him because he's just a human knight and runs away from him.
Mission failed. We'll get 'em next time.
While this encounter discourages him from being able to feel the plot of his life, he knows that no gamer can ever pass up the chance to help a beautiful elf and strengthens his resolve. The rest of his nights are spent wondering how he could ever find her again, but the hard bones in his body won't let him give up. In the next morning, he sets off to the elf forest where there could be a chance of finding her, but the Ninetails warns him that there's enemies around. An elf runs by, and a bandit captures her before showing her off to his leader. He stabs her in the leg, telling her to beg him for mercy, but even after she begs, he continues stabbing her. Ark sneaks around, seeing that those elves are being trapped behind a cell and their lives are being threatened. But just as he is about to act against this, Mrs. Giant Cannonballs launches in, destroying the men in her way. The bandits all gang up on her, but she slashes one of their arms and rushes forward to destroy the rest of the ones standing in front of her. She strikes fear into them, and continues running around until she slashes every single bandit in her way. The bandit leader stops her, telling her that he will kill the small elves if she continues resisting. He tells her that he will just examine her merchandise, and as Isekai plot is about to develop, Ark flashes and launches the leader towards the tree, saving the elves and impressing the love of his life. After all of the bandits are completely destroyed, Mrs. Nuclear Missiles wonders how to find the key to free the kids, but Ark destroys the lock with his hand to free them. One of the kids, however, has a cursed collar attached to her that sucks her life away. She tells Ark that she wouldn't be able to destroy them, but Ark uses his magical abilities to free her from the curse and heals all of her wounds. Hot Elf Girl realizes that this guy is no ordinary knight, and wonders what else his bone can do to her. Sorry, I meant the damsel in distress begins falling in love with her knight in shining armor because this is a wholesome and family-friendly show. Ark continues to play with the kids to relieve them of the traumatic experience they just had, and Mrs. Giant Blaster introduces herself as Ariane. As he finally enjoys some alone time with her, a bird comes to warn her that their elf headquarters are being invaded, and Ariane asks him if she could hire him to help her. Although she's never trusted a human in her entire life, she decided to give him a chance and trust him, since he saved all the other elves. After teleporting her back near the Lidl River, she realized that he possessed the forbidden long teleportation skill, and wondered how he was able to cast it without an incantation. By the time they arrived at the bridge, he used his teleportation magic to sneak them into an alley, so Ariane revealed that they would be meeting her lifelong friend. Hearing those words, Ark realized he was about to meet another hot elf chick, but when he turned around, he realized it was a disgusting Russian moron, crushing all of his dreams. With the window being their only way inside, Ariane made sure that the roof is empty, and tried to get in.
What's all that movement back there? What's all that movement back there? There's a whole lot of clapping.
As they look around the building, they see a few of the mercenaries were killed while they were sleeping, and realized that there was a murderer among them. So they decided to split up, and while Ark teleported across the hallway, he flashed into another room that was filled with dead bodies, but a ninja nearly killed him in that moment. However, when she saw the Nine Tails sitting on top of him, she realized that he must be a good man for befriending a spirit creature and apologized for attacking him. Before leaving, she decided to give him the map of the underground to find the elves he was looking for, and revealed there were 2 elves that were also trapped in the mansion, hoping this would help him complete his mission as she leapt away. However, Ark wondered what the fuck she was talking about, because the only mission he had was to now find that hot cat ninja girl. After showing Ariane and Danka the outline of the prison cells, Ariane began wondering how he gained this classified information. But before he could come up with a lie to distract her ugly ass, a group of bandits broke into the room. However, Ariane burned them alive with a single strike, killing the ugly, disgusting losers in that instant, and promising that she'll erase anyone who stands in her way. A few minutes later, they found the group of elves inside their cells, so Ark stretched the iron bars apart to free the girls, allowing them to finally feel safe after enduring all their torture. So he teleported them outside, but after noticing the curse seal on their neck, Ark activated his uncursed magic to free them. This was a spell only the Archdukes were able to cast, Danka realized, but he promised to take care of the girls while they invaded the mansion. So Ark held on to Ariane, and used his dimensional move to teleport towards the final 2 elves. In the distance, the ninja girl wishes to meet him again one day. Inside the Lord's Manor, 2 elves are tied to a bed that are about to be isekai plotted. The ugly man rubs a white cream on the elf's belly, and she makes plot-filled noises. Outside the building, Ark continues teleporting throughout the air to reach the top of the manor, and attacks the guards that are defending at the top of the building. The rest of the soldiers in the manor search for him, but he hides in plain sight to avoid causing more casualties. A man comes to knock on the door of the owner, warning him that invaders are coming that want to get rid of him. As he says his last words, Ark and Ariane blow through the door, informing him that they're here to rescue the elves. They destroy the owner's plot-making abilities and save the girls. As Ark began interrogating the slave dealer, he realized that there was a hidden room in the wall, but Ariane was giving the Lord the treatment he was about to give. At the same time, the 2 elves were about to give him 1,000 years of pain, until a group of soldiers appeared in the room to stop them. However, Ariane unleashed her ultimate spell to burn all of them alive with a single blow, while Ark began stealing all of the Lord's gold. But when Ariane wondered what he was doing, the top G revealed that they would be able to rebuild their slave trade business with this gold, so he was taking all of it to destroy their business. Hearing those words, she bought his lies just like Andrew Tate taught him to lie to women, allowing him to have enough gold to finally buy a Bugatti instead of staying a disgusting brokey. So now that he was a millionaire, she asked him if he could come to her elf village to spend the night with her. But although he realized this is exactly what every nerd loser that hasn't showered in a week would want, she revealed that he needed to meet her father before she could call him daddy. However, Ark revealed that he could never show his face, because she may turn her sword against him when she discovers the truth. But when she swore that she wouldn't, he wondered if he could really choose this path to stay with her, but decided to take off his mask. When she asked him how he became this ugly, Ark revealed that he woke up and found himself cursed, attempting to hide the fact that he was isekai'd. But seeing how big his bone was, she decided to accept him as he is, and thought there might be a way to cure his curse. A few days later, as they were getting close to the village, Ark's dumb ass tried teleporting away, but fell inside a hole that was bigger than Ariane's. However, they managed to finally find clean water to fill their empty bottles, and after managing to capture a fish from the water, they spent all night cooking their meal. Just then, Ariane's fat ass belly began growling, so Ark realized that it would be impossible for a single fish to feed all the weight on her chest, so he decided to go and catch a boar for her. But while he was gone, she saw Panda sleeping, and although she wanted to pet him very badly, she decided to restrain herself so the poor victim could sleep peacefully. However, the menace woke up anyway, and by the time Ark came back with a boar, he saw that she was rubbing Panta on her massive chest. Although Ark tried to ignore the cringe he just witnessed, he wished he could have been the one feeling those nice massive tits. The following morning, after passing through the forest, they finally arrived at the Elven village gates. So as Ari announced her presence, the gate opened at that instant. Inside the village, the elder introduced himself as Dylan and revealed that Ari was their daughter. Her mother, Glenys, lied to Ark about her age so that he would become interested in her and they could all have a threesome. But Ark didn't like cougars and he silently rejected her advances. Dylan began wondering why they attacked Lord Triton's mansion. He thought their action would start a war and wondered why they couldn't leave without burning up the place. But Ark decided to explain everything. By the time he was done, Dylan thought they weren't guilty after all, but revealed that he must explain everything to the other elders. So Ari offered to follow him for support, and Dylan told her that they would be leaving in the morning. The next day, by the time Ark woke up, Glenys told him that they left already, but after walking throughout the city, she asked him to spar against her. So at evening, when they arrived inside the forest, she told him that she intends to test his long sword. She was hoping to see if he was strong enough to protect her daughter, but as she rushed at him, she pretended to attack his head, but immediately flashed behind him, sweeping him down at that instant. As she wondered why he was fighting like a kid, she told him that even a newborn would move faster than his slow, worthless body. So she told him to prepare for her next attack. And Ark realized this was the first time he was fighting someone stronger than him, so he tried to study her techniques. However, as she flashed towards him, she swept him before he even knew it, and continued striking his body. By the time it was sunset, Ark was already exhausted from getting his face used as a mop. As he decided to fake a jab, he teleported behind her to strike her down, but she jabbed him with 100 strikes, sending him falling to the ground. And as he laid on the grass, he felt bad for letting Andrew Tate down by losing to a woman. Inside the home, as Ark decided to soak up in a bath, he began wondering if Ari would join him in the showers.
Yes! 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 Oh. No! 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 Shit!
While in the living room, Ari began wondering if he got a good look at her plot region. But Ark was wondering why her cannons were so huge. Just then, Dylan began telling him that the elders have decided to hire him, hoping he could investigate the slave contract and even free the rest of the captured elves. However, as they had no money to pay him with, Ark thought he couldn't work for these brokies. So when Dylan realized that he wasn't going to help them, he offered to give him directions to the sacred spring. This spring was rumored to have a special healing quality, and Dylan told him that it could even break his skeleton curse. As he thought it could be the answer to his prayers, Ark wondered how he would find the spring, so Dylan revealed that it was close to the Lord Crown, a rare dragon tree that houses the Dragon Lord. This tree was the secret pathway to finding the spring, but Ari told him that the dragon would obliterate every invader who disturbs the spirits inside the sacred spring. However, she thought they could be granted permission to enter and was certain that it would guarantee their success. As she told him that she would be joining him inside, Ark wondered if she would finally warm his bone, and accepted immediately. However, in his room that night, he began wondering if his skeleton body was actually a curse, seeing as he was in the form of his game avatar. Just then, he realized his uncursed spell could remove any curse, and decided to give it a shot.
Oh? Oh? Oh!
However, the flesh vanished at that instant, so he decided to repeat the uncursed spell, but it disintegrated again. When it was morning, they began their new journey through the forest, hoping to find the remaining elves in the trafficking contract. At the same time, Ark was glad to have discovered that he's a skeleton due to a curse, but wondered if the sacred spring would permanently heal his body. At night, they decided to have dinner inside an inn. But when Ari began suggesting they travel through the forest to reach their destination quicker, the innkeeper appeared before them, telling them that it was too dangerous. She revealed that haunted wolves have taken over the forest, and had even ate a few people for dinner. However, when she left, Ari suggested they continue as planned. So the next day, they continued their journey through the forest, and Ari revealed that she intends to collect the wolves' tails for her sister. She had discovered that their fur would make a beautiful veil, and thought it would be the perfect gift for her. Just then, the wolves appeared from the bushes, but as Ark slayed one of them, it vanished before his eyes, making him realize that it was an illusion. As Ari slashed illusion wolves, Ark managed to evade one, but another bit hard on his armor. The wolves could create multiple illusions as a distraction, and with the pack leader in command, Ark realized that everyone else would have become dinner. As more wolves flew at him, he slashed the illusions, but the last one bit on his armor. So as new wolves started running at Ari, she summoned fire, obliterating one of them. But when another tried sneaking up on her with multiple clones, she summoned earth spikes, killing them at the same time. The sight of it made Ark think she was impressive, so as he cast the wolves aside, he realized he could learn from her. However, the wolves would never be defeated while the pack leader was still alive, and as Ark spotted it at the top of the cliff, he teleported instantly, but it dodged his attack. As Ark noticed the mystical ring around its ankle, he realized that he had seen it on another monster, so he teleported again. But as the wolf flashed to his back, looking to end him, he blasted it with fire, before slicing the ring in half. At that moment, the wolf returned to its right mind, and roared for the others to retreat. So as Ari rejoined him, they watched the ring as it disintegrated, and wondered who could have created it. Just then, Ari remembered she needed wolf fur, and decided to get to work. Meanwhile, a princess was traveling through the forest, and began wondering if her brothers were part of the elf slave trade. She thought their greed would start a war with the elves, and wondered if it would destroy the kingdoms if either of them becomes king. Just then, the carriage rocked from a collision, and the guards began screaming from an attack. At that moment, Ponta sensed the danger and began running towards the site, so Ark ran after him. As the carriage crashed into a tree, the attendant drew her sword, but as the door opened, a man slashed her instantly. With the princess in shock, she hurried out to help her, but was sent straight into nirvana. While the low-lives were celebrating their victory, Ponta jumped on one of the soldiers, but as he picked it easily, the commander told him to eliminate the fox. However, Ark seized his arm and broke it at that instant, but as he decided to check the princess, the men started launching fireballs at him, but he was unscathed from all their attacks. Just then, the haunted wolves began to devour them, and as Ark noticed the pack leader, he drew his sword and easily annihilated all the men. After the wolves retreated deep into the forest, Ark decided to cast a regeneration spell, and as her wound closed up, the princess regained consciousness. Glad at this discovery, Ark decided to cast another regeneration spell on the attendant, and continued casting more spells to awaken the slain soldiers. By the time the princess woke up, her attendant told her that they must have been resurrected by a miracle, and the princess thought the miracle must have come from God himself. So when her soldiers were gathered, she began saying that God was on their side, and that they must continue on their journey no matter what. Meanwhile, Ark was watching from behind a bush, and began wondering if using his healing magic was a bad idea. Even though he had saved good people, he wondered if resurrecting them would make significant changes to the future. However, he decided to rejoin Ari, and discovered that she had already gathered all the fur. A few days later, as they eventually arrived at the city, an ugly bully bumped into Ark, but as the loser began thinking he could kick some ass and returned to demand for money, the girl poked his eyes. So as she challenged the others to attack at the same time, they decided to do so, but she threw them away immediately, and Ark realized she was stronger than she looks. Just then, she noticed their presence and began asking if their mission to rescue the elves was successful. But as they heard those words, Ark realized she was the ninja he met, as she decided to reveal her face. She told him that she was proud of their success and suggested they speak in private. However, as Ari began wondering who she is, Ark decided to reveal that she actually gave him the slave contracts, and the girl introduced herself as Chiyomi. She said she was one of the Jinshin clan's 6 ninjas and suggested they go to someplace quiet. After arriving inside an inn, Chiyomi began wondering why Ark called her a ninja, seeing as no outsider of her clan had ever heard the word before. But he told her that he met a ninja once. Hearing his words, she thought he was from the same realm as their great founder, and Ark wondered if one loser had already reincarnated into this world before him. When Ari wondered why she intends to speak with them in private, she decided to ask for their help in rescuing her clansmen, offering to reveal the whereabouts of the remaining elves in exchange. However, Ark told her that he's already been hired to find the elves, but as he wondered if Ari was willing to offer her any help, she decided to accept. As they began heading to the slave market, Ark decided to ask Chiyomi who the great founder was, so she told him that he was human, and said he had trained her clansmen who were taken as slaves in the empire. Through their training, they became the Jinshin clan. But as Ark heard these words, he realized that the great founder must have been very special to have created a legend for himself. He wondered if he could ever become one, but realized he's too much of a loser to ever achieve anything. As they arrived at the slave market, Chiyomi told them that they would attack it at the same time. Meanwhile inside, the guards were wondering how much money they would make from the slaves, and hoped they would make the quota soon so that they would ship them off to another country. At the same time outside, Chiyomi began revealing that reinforcements would arrive once they attacked the market. So to create a diversion, she suggested they attack the front gates, but soon began wondering if they would manage to escape before reinforcements show up. However, Ark told her that they would fight until the end, and revealed that he could easily teleport away once they were done. As Chiyomi grew excited at his words, she began wondering if he was a space-time ninjutsu master, and thought they could save all her clansmen with his teleportation magic. Deciding to rejoin the rest of her comrades, she told them that they would attack once it was dark, and began jumping off the trees. So with the girl already gone, Ark suggested they make their own preparations, but his preparation was just another hopeless battle with food. As Ari gave him a taste of her meat, she told him that it was the meat from a dragonfly they came across a few days ago, but Ark thought she tasted delicious. After their dinner, Ark decided to wear an ugly mask in the forest, but she wondered if he was trying to make his already haunted face worse. She told him that he looks worse than a circus freak, and even Ponta was traumatized at the sight of his new disgusting face. Just then, Chiyomi arrived with her companion and introduced him as Gomen. But as the dude approached Ark like he would knock out his teeth, they suddenly locked hands and began fighting one another. With neither able to overpower the other, they decided to leap back, but as they rushed at each other this time, they decided to hug like bros. The girls wondered if they had both lost their minds, but soon heard the sound of the ringing city bell. As they prepared for the invasion, Chiyomi told Ark and Gomen to attack the front gate of the capital. But as they began walking towards the gate, the knights realized they were a threat, and drew their weapons immediately. Just then, Gomen summoned earth from the ground and made it into large horns, so as he began charging at the gate, he blew it open immediately. Looking to protect the capital, more soldiers began running at them, but Ark destroyed them immediately, before sending the others slamming into the wall. At the same time, Gomen decided to turn his body into steel, so as the men charged at him, their swords broke on his body. Hoping to draw out reinforcement, Ark decided to launch rocks at them, annihilating the men in an instant. So with the rest of them scared for their lives, Gomen summoned his rock spear out of the ground, sending the losers running away. Ark thought he was impressive, and decided to show off his own skill, so he summoned Rock Fang out of the ground, annihilating the men and even destroying the entire capital, before getting buried under the rubble. At the same time, Chiyomi and Ari had climbed over the wall, and as they realized that enough soldiers have been summoned to the gate, they hurried towards the building. Just then, Chiyomi managed to unlock the door, and they discovered that the guards were running to the front gate, so they began running down the hallway. However, Ponta began to growl, and they realized that a few men had spotted them, but as they charged at them, Chiyomi summoned Liquid Wolf, and as it rose like a water tornado, the wolves eliminated them instantly. Realizing her technique was ninjutsu, Ari thought she was impressive, but as more guards began running at them, she drew a flame out of her sword and blasted them with the fire. Before long, they arrived at the underground cells, and as Chiyomi opened one of the cells, she freed the slaves and commanded them to release the others. At the same time, more soldiers started running towards them, but Ari ended them with a single strike. Meanwhile outside, Ark eventually emerged from the rubble, and as Gomen also emerged, Ark realized that he managed to survive by turning his body into steel. Just then, he discovered that all the men have been killed, but as he began suggesting they find the girls, they appeared before them, saying that they've already freed the slaves. However, there was an extra building they intended to search, as they thought that more slaves were being held inside. To stop other reinforcements from intruding, Gomen told them that he would wait at the gate, so they ran towards the building immediately. As a guard tried to strike Ari, she slayed him before slashing another, and as Ark bashed two others, Chiyomi summoned her Liquid Wolf technique, eliminating the rest of them. By the time they arrived into another underground cell area, Chiyomi freed all the slaves, but after arriving at the last one, she discovered they were all dead. Meanwhile outside, Gomen decided to turn his body into steel, with more reinforcements having arrived. And in the building, they sensed the presence of the reinforcements, so Ark began teleporting the slaves outside, eventually saving all of them. Back at the front gate, the reinforcements realized that they couldn't kill Gomen, and as Ark teleported to his side for support, they thought they were completely screwed. So with Ark ready to destroy them, he summoned Rock Fangs out of the ground, and Gomen supported him with rock spears, wrecking the entire ground at the same time. At the sight of the destruction, Chiyomi began wondering if they would survive, but Ark teleported before them at that instant, and they realized that he managed to save all the bodies, to send their souls to Nirvana. Ari summoned fire to burn them, and as their flaming souls rose towards the sky, Chiyomi vowed to become stronger so that she would protect the survivors. A few hours later, after all the slaves had returned home, Chiyomi and Gomen decided to rejoin the pair. But as Gomen locked eyes on Ark, they locked hands again in another show of power, eventually creating a pit with their combined weight. However, with neither able to overpower the other, they decided to hug it out once again. But Ari called them a pair of morons. The following day, as they began sailing through the capital, Chiyomi thanked them for their help and decided to reveal what she already promised. Meanwhile, the Princess Yuriana had arrived in another city, and as she met her sister, she was glad to see her alive. However, when she revealed that the killers were sent by her brother, Yuriana began wondering how she managed to discover that. So after entering the castle, her sister began telling her that her necklace was found with Dakar's, her older brother, and revealed that he had confessed to the crime before he was slain. However, Yuriana thought it was a plan against him, and realized that her second brother sect could have been responsible for the plot, seeing as Dakar's death would make him direct heir to the throne. So when her sister suggested they reveal the news of her survival to everyone, Yuriana told her to keep it a secret, realizing she could form an alliance with the elf clan in the meantime, and could even become the queen before her brother knows it. Inside the forest, as Ark and Ari continued their travels, Ark remembered that Chiyomi had told them that the captured elves were being held in the Holy Revlon Empire, but noticed that Ari had grown worried ever since she heard the name. He wondered how dangerous the city would be, but thought they would definitely succeed in finding the elves. A few days later, after arriving at a wasteland, they noticed a flock of wyverns patrolling the skies, and Ark thought they would be attacked once they are spotted. So to disperse them away, he jumped down the mountain, and as he prepared a lightning spell, the clouds turned dark instantly. Without hesitating, he summoned lightning from the sky, and began electrifying the beasts, even frying Ari and Ponta along with them. By the time he was done, he teleported back to the top, and realized they were already toast. Meanwhile, a useless dude was watching him from the top, and he wondered if Ark's brain has left his empty head. That evening, as they decided to have dinner inside an inn, Ari realized that her ears were still ringing from the shock. But as she decided to reveal a map, she began suggesting a plan to infiltrate the Empire. However, Ark sensed that she was still worried, and began wondering what may have happened, so she told him that holding slaves was actually legal in the Empire, and that she could be captured. Even staying inside a border town was dangerous, so she told him to be on the alert. Just then, a man appeared before them, revealing that he saw them inside the wasteland. But as he introduced himself as Karsi, Ari covered up his face and began telling him that elves are supposed to protect their identity in a human town. She thought he could easily be taken away as a slave, and warned him to never take any risks. But at that moment, the proprietress began asking if Karsi would be having his usual drink, and a group of losers invited him to their table. So as Ari realized he was well known, Karsi decided to explain everything. After revealing that he's been living in this town for a decade, he told Ari to ease up, and said that they could live in peace with humans. But as Ari grew angry at the thought, she told him that it's impossible. With her clan having been sold as slaves, Ari thought that living together would only create chaos with humans. But as Ark decided to ask what he wants, Karsi began saying that he studies monsters for a living, and asked for their help in capturing a special kind of monster. He had gotten a front row view of Ark's lightning magic, and thought he was the perfect person for the job. However, Ari thought he's far too ugly, and began saying that they couldn't help him, but he decided to reveal the map of the Holy Revlon Empire, offering to give it to them in exchange for their help. Realizing it was the answer to their prayers, Ari decided to accept. That night, as Ark decided to pay for a room, the proprietress gave him a barrel of PG grape juice, and told him to play his manly duties tonight. While inside the room, Ari began wondering how elves and humans could ever coexist. But as she decided to take a glass of the PG grape juice, she began twitching her ears from the delicious taste. However, as she decided to take another glass, she jumped on top of Ark and began asking for a taste of his bone. Her words caused the simp to shiver, but she began moving his head, asking to feel his bone already. When he was too chicken, she decided to get to work, and even the proprietress could feel the echo from their wall-shattering plot development. The following day, as they met Karsi outside the town, he decided to introduce his ugly, creepy friend, and they soon began heading out. While riding off, Ark noticed that Ari was having a hangover, and she told them that a smell from the cart was making her feel even worse. So as the breeze blew the canopy, revealing dead monsters, Carsey told them that it was goblin carcasses, and said he would be using it as bait to lure out the sandworm. Just then, the disgusting weirdo tossed a tea at Ark, saying it would cure Ari's hangover, but as she spotted his creepy ass smile, she thought he was worse than a disgusting loser, and decided to turn down the drink. However, when Carsey told her that the dude is actually not as useless as she thinks, and tried persuading her to taste his juice, she decided to take a sip of his slimy liquid, but wondered why the loser's face was shaped like a shark's head. As Ark began asking how they would capture the monster, Carsey revealed that it was weak to fires, and thought it would be easily lured out by the wyverns. Just then, Ari realized that the loser was nowhere in sight. But as she tried warning them, a large sandworm burst out of the ground, rising 40 meters above them. At the sight of it, they discovered it was much longer than they ever thought, and as Ari realized that the loser had been knocked off his cart, she hurried off to save him. So as she summoned a flame from her sword, she jumped 20 meters towards the monster and blasted it with fire. However, as the monster was unscathed, it tried to devour her just as she landed. But Ark managed to save her, and even held off the worm. As she hurried off to save the man, Ark decided to pull the worm out of the ground and power slammed it, weakening its entire body and causing the mystical ring to disintegrate. After returning to town, Carsey decided to give them their prize, even throwing a book of monsters in as an extra. However, before leaving, Ari decided to ask him why he was living with humans, so Carsey told her that he discovered they were different from what he thought, and was certain that they would eventually coexist with humans. He considers this to be the foundation of that future, and was glad to be one of the few brave elves that were taking the first steps. As they began leaving the town, Ari asked Ark if humans and elves could truly coexist, but he told her that they would figure it out in time. After a few days, they arrived at another border town, having discovered that captured elves are being held here. So as they began thinking that their presence would draw attention, Ari suggested they search the town separately. All through that day, they began interrogating random people, hoping to find a clue that would lead them to the elves' whereabouts. And by the time it was evening, Ark had managed to discover that loud screams were being heard from the fortress every night, and that random people were mysteriously disappearing. Ark thought they were being abducted by monsters, and wondered why there was no news on the elves' whereabouts. But as he was about to search for Ari, he heard a scream from an alley as a girl was shoved into empty barrels. As 3 losers appeared before her eyes, one of them tried forcing her to follow them, but Ark caught the loser's hand, telling him to scram before he knocks out his useless teeth. However, as the other losers decided to rush at him, Ark knocked them back with his armored head flick, sending all 3 men slamming into the wall. So with the girl finally safe, she decided to thank him for rescuing her, but Ari arrived at that moment. As she spotted them together, Ark decided to reveal what happened, but Ari's territorial instinct already kicked in, and she threatened to squash the girl's ugly face, making her run away. That night in the fortress, the losers began trying to explain to their master what happened, but the psychopath told them that their words are useless and commanded his beast to make them its dinner instead. As he arrived at an abyss, he was glad that his greatest monster was inside, and revealed that he would prepare someone special for its dinner. Meanwhile, Ark and Ari had arrived outside the fortress, and as Ari revealed that the elves were brought here 4 months ago, Ark began wondering if they could still be here, because in 4 months, he knew they could have all been killed or even sold off. Ari thought he was right, but decided to head towards it anyway, unwilling to return without seeing for herself. So as they successfully sneaked into the fortress, they realized that the inside was actually empty. And as Ari revealed that an informant had told her about a secret entrance, she decided to push the wall in and successfully opened the entrance. After making their way down, they noticed the 2 guards watching the gate. But when Ari suggested they knock them unconscious, Ponta decided to create a distraction. In an instant, Ari flashed towards one of them and knocked him out while Ark put the other to sleep. Just then, she began trying to push the door open, and after realizing she's too useless, Ark merely slid it open. As they discovered they were in an underground prison, they noticed the bones inside the cells, but Ponta soon discovered another gate. As they made their way inside, they realized it was a cave, but at that moment, the useless loser appeared before them. He was Fumba, and as he noticed Ari's huge missiles, he wanted to feel her mommy milkers, so he commanded her to kill Ark off. Without hesitating, Ari smacked Ark's armor, but as he tried saying that she's fighting the wrong dude, he realized that her mind has been hypnotized. While wondering what Fumba could have done, Ari slammed him to the ground, and as her cape came off, the loser realized she's a dark elf. The discovery made him think that he's won a jackpot, but Ark decided to try and break her hypnosis. However, when he cast an uncursed spell, she grew angry and tried to slash his arm off, making him realize that she was still under the spell. But as she wouldn't stop attacking him, he continued repeating the uncursed spell, taking all her strikes, until eventually tripping on a rock. However, as he managed to stand, he noticed that Fumba wasn't casting any spells, but as she continued with her relentless attacks, he spotted two glowing eyes inside her hoodie. So as he blocked her final strike, he directed Ponta to attack the monster, and as the fox managed to wrestle the creature outside, Ark burned it instantly. At that moment, Ari passed out, but Ark realized that the imp was casting an illusion on her, making her fight against an imaginary beast. With Fumba impressed that he managed to eliminate his imp, he decided to introduce himself as a monster sorcerer, and said that he can command as many monsters as he wants. As Ark noticed his tattoo, he thought it looked similar to the mystical ring that he had been seeing on the out-of-control beasts. So as he began wondering if the ugly loser was controlling the monsters, a giant tiger appeared behind him, and Ark noticed another ring on its body. However, as he decided to lay Ari aside, he asked if any of the captured elves were still in the cave. But Fumba told him that he already fed them to his monsters. As he began laughing like a deranged loser, Ark sliced the tiger's head instantly, realizing that this useless psychopath was the most disgusting villain he's ever seen. However, Fumba thought he still has the advantage, and began lashing his whip, summoning 100 other monsters at the same time. Even so, Ark was bent on teaching the loser a lesson, so as he commanded the monsters to attack him, Ark began slaying them all at the same time. However, Fumba continued lashing his whip, calling upon a goblin, but Ark bashed it with his shield, sending it slamming into the wall. But as a lizard beast managed to restrain Ark, he sliced it with a single strike. At that moment, Fumba revealed that Ari was about to get isekai'd. But before the goblin could smash her, Chiyomi cast a spell and trapped it inside a water prison, killing it at that instant. Unwilling to surrender, Fumba continued lashing his whip, trying to summon newer monsters. But when none of them showed up, Chiyomi revealed that her comrades had already killed the rest of them. However, when Ark wondered how she managed to trail him, Chiyomi told him that she had revealed the location of the fortress to Ari, and had even promised to support them. At that moment, Ark realized that Ari must have been really jealous after spotting him with the hot girl he rescued, and thought it made her hide it from him. Just then, the cave began crumbling, and Fumba told them that his greatest monster was about to emerge, but managed to escape from the rubble. So with Ari still unconscious, Ark decided to teleport outside, and before their eyes, a monstrous hydra emerged out of the ground. As Ark spotted the rings attached to their body, Chiyomi began suggesting they retreat to create a plan. But the monster noticed their presence and unleashed an energy blast on them, making Fumba think they were completely fried. A few years ago, he had demanded respect from his clan, saying that he's the most powerful monster tamer alive. But the clan leader said he's actually weak, and told him to get lost because his useless face was worse than a dumpster. But as Fumba heard these words, he decided to beg the Empire King for his help and asked for a position in his city. But the king told him that he's completely worthless, and said even a stray dog was more valuable than his worthless body. These words had fueled his desire to become the greatest monster sorcerer in their world, and he began commanding the Hydra to head for the city and devour everyone. At the same time, Ark's teleportation landed them on a mountain. But as Chiyomi began wondering how they managed to survive, she thought that Ark must definitely be the most overpowered human she's ever seen, to have even successfully shielded the Hydra's breath. However, Ark realized that Ari was nowhere in sight, so as he began screaming her name, they spotted her on a rock, and noticed the dark aura oozing out of her body. As she began saying that she wasn't actually unconscious when the imp hypnotized her mind, she revealed that she heard every single word Fumba said, and suggested they find him so that she can isekai his ass. With the loser already believing they were dead, she thought they would easily catch him off guard. But as she began to leave, she noticed that Ark wasn't moving. She wondered why he wasn't coming with them, so Ark revealed that he would rather stop the monster instead. Thinking he's too weak to defeat it, Chiyomi tried telling him to sit this one out, but Ark told her to shut her disgusting mouth, and said her face looks like shit.
Damn!
At the same time, the Hydra was heading closer to the city, and they began sounding the alarm to evacuate the citizens. but the commander ordered his men to defend their city. As one of the snakes tried to unleash a blast, Ark hit it with a wyvern slash, and as they all noticed his presence, he realized that the snake didn't even get scratched. But when they tried to devour him, Ark managed to escape and bashed his shield into another snake. As he teleported away, he returned with a fist and hit it with an armor lariat, killing it at that instant. Watching his monster getting knocked out, Fumba began wondering if Ark's body was made out of steel, realizing he should have been obliterated by the Hydra's breath. Right then, the Hydra unleashed another energy blast that burned up the forest, but Ark teleported away. Immediately, one of the snakes captured him, and as Ark realized that the Hydra was trying to sacrifice one of their own to annihilate him, they unleashed their breath, but his shield protected him, repelling the energy across the forest. So while the Hydra was preparing to unleash another blast, Ark summoned a magic circle in the sky, and with his judgment magic, he sliced them at the same time. However, their heads began regenerating, so as Ark teleported away, he decided to try a new magic skill and summoned the infernal demon at that moment. At the same time, the Hydra had fully regenerated, but as the demon appeared before it, Ark realized that it would stop the serpent from getting into the city. Meanwhile, Ari and Chiyomi were running through the forest, but as Ponta sensed that Fumba was close, it began following his scent. So as he was about to command the Hydra to unleash its full power, Ari nearly fried his face off. As they appeared before his eyes, Fumba began wondering if they want a taste of his meat. But Ari called him a loser and threatened to shove his meat into his own mouth. She told him that he's weak and said he was trying to use the monsters to hide his weakness because it was the only way he could stay relevant in this world. Hearing her words, Fumba remembered that his clan leader and the Empire King had said the exact same thing, and as he grew angry, he decided to reveal his whip. Thinking he could prove himself, he began lashing the whip to summon his monsters, but as Ari rushed at him, he withdrew immediately. As his imps tried to sneak up on her, Ari slayed them with her blade and told him that his cheap trick would never work twice on her. Desperate to eliminate her, he tried to command the Hydra, but Chiyomi slashed him across the back, and he realized that she's destroyed the cursed markings that allows him to control the beasts. With Ari ready to finish him off, she decided to summon flames out of her sword and burned off his whip in an instant. As he realized he was screwed, Fumba began trying to beg for his life, but she unleashed her flame on him, burning him to ashes immediately. At the same time, the demon rushed at the Hydra and ripped two of their heads off. Before another could unleash a blast, the demon sealed its mouth shut, but when another bit into his body, he decided to knock it back with a punch. When the Hydra tried escaping, Ark caught its tail, and with a mighty swing, he threw it towards the sky, allowing the demon to burn it with a great flame, turning it into ashes in an instant. As the sun began to rise, Ark rejoined the girls, and as they began wondering how he acquired the demon, he told them that he summoned it from another dimension. At this rate, Chiyomi thought it was only a matter of time before the entire realm begins to worship him, because his powers were becoming too broken. Just then, a whispering fowl appeared and decided to reveal a message to Ari. Meanwhile, in the capital, Yuriana was in a meeting with an elf chief and told him that her kingdom would take over the search for the missing elves. However, in exchange for her help, she asked him to support her ascent to the throne and even promised to fight their wars for them. Thinking it was the best arrangement possible, the elf chief decided to accept her offer, so Yuriana told him that they are on path to having a peaceful coexistence, and they decided to shake hands to seal this agreement. At the same time, Ark and the girls were already heading back, and Ari revealed that she was disappointed at the sudden command to withdraw from her search. She thought it was good news that the Rodent Empire would be taking charge of the search, but wondered if it was the start of a coexistence with humans like Karsi had predicted. Ark thought it was, but told her to accept the world as it was about to be changed. A few days later, while walking through the forest, Ark began saying that he was ready to start living a quiet life. But Ari told him to first learn to keep a quiet mouth. As Ark decided to reveal his face, the sight of his disgusting skull caused Chiyomi to hide behind a tree, and Ari realized she's never seen his huge bone before. However, when Ark began wondering what their next mission is, Ari told him that they must head for the Lord Crown, hoping they would find the spring that would break his skeleton curse. But as Ark heard those words, he realized that even though he still had no idea how he came into this world, he was glad he was spending it with his new friends, and the girl he loved. Watch this next video. Till next time, my fellow legendary plot masters.